What's going on, guys? Max Frost here. I'm gonna show you guys how to do one of my favorite breakfasts. This is a great breakfast for anybody who is working out a lot and is trying to stay a little leaner and cleaner. This is not a breakfast for someone who is vegan. So if you're vegan, don't make this. Not that it's gonna be that bloody, but we got some skirt steak happening, we got some eggs happening. This is basically a little arugula, egg, and skirt steak thing that I have been doing from time to time that I'm super into. It's very easy. And the main emphasis here, though, is we're gonna be talking about how to grill skirt steak, or really any steak, and how that all is gonna come together. So check it out. We got skirt steak. I like skirt steak because it's really thin. You can sear it really, really quickly, but you're still gonna get a medium to rare thing. This is a steak you really wanna cook fairly rare, or it's gonna get too chewy. I like it because it's really marbled with fat and it's got a lot of flavor, but it's not really that expensive of a meat. This is a choice cut. With any kind of beef you're ever gonna be making, I really recommend you get at least choice if you don't want to pay the extra for prime. So we're gonna be grilling this. All right, first things first with this, super hot grill. We're putting it on high. We're lighting it immediately. Little trick to lighting a grill, just get one side lit, turn the rest of them on, and close it. It's gonna light. Don't know if you heard that, but that's the sound of it all lighting. So get that going. We want that super, super hot. We don't wanna be turning it on and then throwing it on. In the meantime, I'm also gonna throw this pan on some fairly low heat to get that rolling. As you guys can see, I've got some cookies left over from a real break in my will last night. And if you're wondering if I ate all these alone by myself, yes. Did I cry? Yes. It's just kind of part of the quarantine mental breakdown. There's a lot of skirt steak. We don't want that much of it. We just want enough for a nice little serving of it with our eggs. Open this deal up here. So remember to keep in mind, like this thin part here that's really thin and more narrow, that's gonna cook so fast. You wouldn't wanna cut it where the thicker part and this part are cooking at the same time. Keep it even, so that will go somewhere later. I think I just wanna cook this thicker portion here. This will be our serving right there. So we're gonna hold on to that. Pretty much as simple as it gets with this. This steak has a lot of flavor. You know, people are all about throwing all kinds of seasonings and stuff. It's like, it's a steak. We're not making meatloaf, man. You know, we're not gonna sprinkle a bunch of weird garlic all over it. And you know, listen, I'm not knocking garlic. I love garlic. But if you got a good cut of meat, it would sort of be like hiring a great singer to come sing at your wedding and then hiring like a bunch of other instruments to just play over his voice. Like, just let the meat sing, let it do what it does. Get it real hot, burn the outside edge of it. It just needs a little salt and pepper, really emphasis on salt. So that's gonna be happening just like that. In the meantime, I'm already gonna kind of start setting up how I wanna plate this, right? We're taking some baby arugula. We're putting that as kind of our center divide, like this. You know, I might kind of throw a little bit of balsamic on that. Not a lot, just enough to kind of fight off the bitterness of that. Maybe crack a little salt on there. We got eggs. We're gonna scramble these eggs. I just think it's a better look with this. We're taking a bowl. You've seen it many times. But a note that I recently saw, that I've been following since, that I'm into. Don't put a bunch of seasoning in your eggs before they're cooking. Apparently, the salt does something to the way it cooks. It makes it less viscous, or I can't really explain to you why, but that's what the big guys say. So I don't do it. Salt it at the end, whatever you're gonna do. I think people get a little too quick to say it's whipped. I like to really, really whip this stuff, get it going. Kind of take a corner there and just do little circles. We kind of want some air getting in there, makes it more puffy. A lot of people stop right there, but you still see bubbles. You still see bits of the white still not really broken down. You're really beating it, you know? Yes. You want that. It should look like OJ. It should look like some orange juice you just shook up to pour on a bunch of vodka. It should look like that, like foam. That's all happening. That grill should be mighty hot. We're gonna take this piece of steak. We got a real hot grill, not that thick of a piece of steak. We're just gonna lay it across like this. Just like that, and we're not gonna even stare at it. We're gonna walk away. And listen, I don't think it's fair to say, oh, this many minutes per side. Cuts of meats are different. You gotta cook and you gotta kind of just learn a sense of a guesstimate and be able to look at it and know. I cook on that grill a lot, so I know kind of the general amount of time. I'm gonna go a little longer than most cuts of skirt steak because that piece of skirt steak is a little thicker than usual. In the meantime, I'm gonna take some butter. Really just for the fact that it's just fun to do. Not a crazy amount, you know. Just enough to kind of get a little bit of a party going in here. But again, this is on very low heat. We're not trying to burn this butter. And we're gonna pour that in there. Get the rest of that off there. And just now, I just kind of had a little thought, like an internal clock within myself went, okay, is it time to move that steak a little bit? Because we laid that steak down like this. The first flip is not turning it over, it's moving it so you get that X. I'm just gonna kind of keep this off the edge. It's gonna start to cook pretty quick. Yeah, I'm gonna move that around a little bit like that. I'm gonna take that off the heat actually. And let that hang for a second while I go turn that steak. See what that looks like right now is we got a sear on one direction. We're flipping it, not over, just at an angle. You get that X. Back to these eggs. Keep this going here. Back on the heat. I personally am not really into runny eggs. Some people are. You do them fried. I'm cool with a running yolk. Just with scrambled eggs, I'm just personally a little bit more into these being pretty done. You know, I saw Gordon Ramsay making some eggs where he was putting like sea urchin in it and stuff and making it super runny. I'm sure that's great. I'm not on Gordon's level, man. I'm just not totally into some of that stuff. Like that's probably a point where a lot of people would serve right there. I want it a little more cooked. Not too wet. That's drying out quite a bit. But we don't want them overcooked, you know, just enough. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plate that. This side here. Boom. Boom. Little strip of egg right there. Bang. Okay, herbs, chives. I'm reminding myself that that steak is probably about ready to flip right now. It starts to kind of thicken a little bit. That looks pretty good right there. I'm into that. So we're flipping that over. Now we're cooking this side and we're going back to the other party. All right, cutting board. Why not this? You really don't gotta dice the dill up that much. It's really just for the chives that I've got this board here. If you got a stack of them like this, it's really just one cut. And that's pretty much enough to get that going right there. Looks nice. Salt. Pepper. Why not a little bit of chili powder? You know, see, we got the cookies still going on. Just in case, they're staring at us, reminding us of the other options. Not a lot of this, just a little bit of I just like the color. You know, I think in the meantime, for the sake of fashion, we're also gonna take an avocado, split it up, give it one of those, peel it like that. If you get a ripe avocado, it really should just peel right out of there. I'm kind of into a chili lime thing with avocado. I'll show you what I mean. Tahini, this stuff is no joke. Minimal, just enough. kind of kiss it with that. And then to kind of back that up, there's a sauce. This stuff, man, I didn't take it seriously, but this stuff is amazing. This is even spicier and this is even sweeter. For this, we'll go with this chili lime. I mean, this stuff really rocks. I love it. Just a little dash on that avocado like that. Maybe a little bit around the eggs, not a whole lot. All right, let's go turn that steak one more time. Really starting to char now on that side. You know, we're just gonna let that get a little bit more love as we get ready to finish this up. Another thing I meant to actually say at the beginning of this video is, I feel like so much about making a meal that's got different things going on right is really learning the nuances of how long something's gonna take. By that I mean, you kind of have to have a script in your mind of how it's all gonna come together if you're cooking multiple things at once. Because you don't want one thing to be done right on time and then the other thing takes an extra 40 minutes and you've got cold steak served with warm eggs or vice versa, whatever. To criticize myself, these should probably have been coming off right around now so that we're seasoning as we put the steak. That's just something to think about. Make sure you turn off the grill. And the reason I lit these, by the way, was so that when I closed this at the beginning, that this got as hot as possible, as fast as possible. I obviously know we're not cooking over here. I probably should have turned them off once we got going, but it just kind of helps get this party going right here. Let the meat rest, folks. Don't just pull it off the grill and cut right into it. You're gonna cut into it, the juice runs everywhere instead of in the steak. Right now it's too hot to eat. We're gonna take some of this dill, just pinch some of it off, just kind of sprinkle it around the plate a little bit, get it on the steak, a little bit on the eggs. It just has a nice look and it just kind of adds a nice kind of tart earthiness to stuff that I really like. Take a little bit of lime. I'm so paranoid I'm just gonna get a video of me cutting my fucking thumb off. All right, not on the eggs, just over here on the steak a little bit, not too much. You could also cut this steak and serve it that way, but for the sake of timing, wanted to show you guys kind of the basic thing. A lot of stuff you can change, a lot of stuff you can variate. You know, this would look just as beautiful, I think, with a couple of over easy eggs. You could put beans in the middle. But I think it's also interesting to think about plating. There's something about that that looks a lot better than if you just kind of slop it all in, you know? So hope you guys enjoyed this and stick around for more.